Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelt Out. This is your host, Josh Chapman speaking, and we're in the home studio today. And for the second show in a row, we've got a guest sitting across from me now. No more Skyping. We've done that. We've done enough of that for a bit. So we've got a proper real person that I can talk to. And it's a bit of a different guest today. And I've actually mentioned this guest on a previous episode. I don't know whether they know they've been mentioned before, but I have said a couple of others. She's even butted before her introduction. It's not a Star Wars expert, but it's just somebody that I got on because, gee, she's a bloody good yarn. She's a bloody good talker. And it's Kate Johnson. Hi, Kate.
Hi.
How's it going?
Really good. I'm on your brand new comfy couch. So
you are. You're on the podcasting couch.
I feel like this is a
copyright Steele Saunders
psychologist kind of thing. Like it's,
I don't think
tell all the stories.
I don't think you have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about that. So is this your first podcast appearance?
This is my first podcast appearance, yeah.
Which is baffling to me because we are already friends and we have mutual friends and stuff, and we catch up and it's always in the corner of a pub, yakety about pretty much everything and anything.
Yeah.
And I basically just said, I just want to get her on my podcast just because you've always got something interesting to talk about, whether you know much about it or not. But
you can always spin a yarn to make it seem like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So I suppose a bit of background was that you've been on telly having a yakety yak as well. I know you would like bring up your one little moment of fame and stuff, but
I think it's about 8.5 minutes.
8.5 minutes of fame, but to bring a little context in it. You were on. You do it. You're here.
Yes. So I was on Channel 9's This Time last year. So it was one of those reality TV shows, but it wasn't your typical...
Wasn't Love Island.
It wasn't Love Island. I would have liked a month in Mallorca. That would have been great.
You're not renovating a house.
Wasn't renovating a house.
You're not cooking anything.
Wasn't cooking. Wasn't yelling at people. It was one of those transformational style shows. So Karl Stefanovic was the host, and unfortunately his whole marriage split scandal hit halfway. So ratings didn't quite go as they had hoped in that
So this time last year
class.
He was married, and the year after he'd moved on to the other woman.
Exactly. I met him, and then 12 months later when I went back to studio, completely different Karl. So it was it just came about because I was at a wedding, and you know when life kind of goes really quickly, not really sure what happens, and all of a sudden I had this moment of, oh, God, I'm miserable. I need to change things up. And literally an ad came on the television that started with, do you want to change your life? And I was like,
that's me.
That's me. And I don't think I can avoid it from this motel room in Mildura. So I went on.
Where all the best life decisions are made. Motel rooms in Mildura.
Happened on a Sunday in Mildura.
Overseas listeners, Google that and find out a little bit more about Mildura.
It was hot. It was November. It was the day after a wedding. I was hungover and was watching a friend of mine on Neighbours, and I'm like, she is changing her life and I'm in Mildura. So that all kind of came about really quickly, and 12 months after filming, my 7.5 or 8 minutes of fame was on, and
knocked it out of the park, as I recall. I mean, the clips are still up somewhere.
It's still on the internet.
Still on the internet if you want to look it up.
NineNow.com.au. But I still get the occasional question. I had my 20-year school reunion last week.
Yeah.
And I went back to the country for that, and one of the guys I hadn't seen since school, we were chatting for quite a while, and then he went, so we're going to talk about how you're on telly?
Do you think like when you walk in the room,
should.
just like, well, this is the thing also, is that I didn't have any problem bringing it up because you love talking about it as well.
She got married. She had kids. He's been to us. She was on the telly.
She was on the
telly.
I'm
on the telly.
So that's very cool. Like, it wasn't like you're on a quiz show and your topic was Star Wars or something, and I went, I'm going to get you on because your topic was Star Wars on Millionaire or anything like that.
Well, I'll be really honest. I'm not going to be the expert, and I was doing a bit of research yesterday and re-watching the stuff that I was asked to watch just to make sure that I don't offend your dedicated viewers.
Don't worry, the dedicated hardly at all. But that wasn't the point. Like the point wasn't, we've had lots of hardcore people on before, and that's perfectly great because you go down the hardcore path and you talk about that kind of stuff, and then sometimes it's more fun to have someone who just likes a good chat and and was up for it as well. So that was always what it was. But what was your? Because I normally, when I sort of had the guests on, I kind of go, first question I was like, how are you feeling about Star Wars? And usually it's somebody who's a bit more invested in it, So, I mean, I can still ask you how you feel about it, but if you're just like, how you feel about Star Wars right now?
Well, I think we're about the same age. So I born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s. I grew up with the original Star Wars thinking it's just 3 episodes and then bang, like your world changes when they're like, actually, this is 4, 5, and 6.
Yep.
So I had a really good relationship with it as a kid because the kids up the road watched it and they were cooler than us. So that's where I had younger brothers, not older brothers. So the older kids up the street watched Star Wars. So I watched all of them and I actually really enjoyed them.
Yep.
And then just kind of dropped off.
But that's what 98% of the population do.
Yeah.
It is a sort of a cultural thing now, and but it's still, a select group of people who are really, really into it, who follow it, and it's bigger than it used to be and stuff. But there's also, when they come out and stuff like that, and they get the big box office numbers, it's not just the hardcores who go; it's the people that went, I remember doing that, and I remember that.
It's the nostalgia of it. And
it's the nostalgia, but it's also the people just like, new Star Wars out. Oh, all right, I'll go check that out, I guess, or I'll get it out on DVD or whatever. And they're not necessarily obsessing it over on the internet or listen, doing podcasts about it and stuff.
But I think that's like anything that when there's a hardcore group, it's like there'll be 98% of the population will know about it, but they're not like super invested. And then there's that hardcore group.
Well, that's the thing about why when phenomenons or things kind of bleed into the mainstream. It becomes and Star Wars is probably way more mainstream than a lot of sort of I want to say geeky things, but things that have fandom followings and stuff like that. Like obviously, but I think it's a a cultural thing and generational now and that's been kind of going for so long as well. But well, that's cool that you. You got some background at all.
I've got some background, I do. And look, I was even at a Star Wars dress-up party 2 weeks ago. I was at and I brought my lightsaber.
And you brought your prop.
Yep, I brought my prop.
I know. So you just have to start waving it around randomly.
Great for podcasting. But it was this... I was standing in this room watching... I was at a 40th birthday and just watching everybody just delighting in the fact that, they were dressing up. Me, I hate dress-ups. Like... I am so anti dress-up parties. but for this one, it was easy because all I had to do was basically go to Target and Spotlight, buy a lightsaber, hit a few kids as I'm walking through the shop buying it, and done.
Clip
Put on
them
a
around
mask,
the ankles.
and away you go. Darth Vader, done.
Too easy.
Yeah.
The classic, never gets old. You walk into any dress-up party anywhere in the world and everybody will know.
Exactly. And I think that's what I'm rewatching some of the episodes in the last few months. It's kind of reconnected me back to being a kid and then also just serendipitously, like all of these random Star Wars references are happening in my life and I'm like, what is going on?
Well, then once you sort of, flip that switch in your brain, you become more aware of it around you as well. Like all of a sudden it's like we, this is a very sort of loose thing, but like we go to a market a lot of weekends and stuff like that. We get a lot of kids' books and stuff for Olive. And every now and then we'll be sifting through and we'll see like a kid's book and go, do we have that? Oh, no. Oh, we'll pick that one up. And then you'll go through the rest of the thing and you'll see the same book 3 times.
Yes.
And you just go, has it always been there? Have I only just become aware of this thing that I've seen and now all of a sudden it's in my brain and now I'm really just acutely seeing it everywhere I go? I mean, I know you can sort of throw a rock and see something Star Wars, but again, you probably...
Not in my life. Like my general day-to-day life, there isn't like a regular Star Wars reference. I mean, I don't have kids and I generally,
But then all of a sudden now you've sort of
now I'm in it.
Now you're in it and you're just walking down, you're going, oh, I didn't notice that thing there, but that was there.
Yeah.
And then that was there. So, post the the original trilogy wraps up in the early 80s, and they're all on video, and you occasionally sort of see them on video, and got the kids up the road, and there's that sort of the end of the thing is like, oh, that's a thing that I saw, and then I just got on with my life. And
I think so. I mean, there would always be those references, in pop culture. You'd see like Carrie Fisher's latest meltdown, and you'd be like, oh, poor Princess Leia. Like, there was always that.
Best thing about Carrie Fisher's meltdowns were that she completely owned them and was just like, well, you know what you can do about my meltdown? You can stick it up. Yeah.
And that's the way it should be. It's just like, well, I did it, and now I'm going to make some money off rest in peace. But she nailed it.
And she completely owned it. And she's kind of a champion. I mean, she's obviously a champion of people who love Star Wars, but I think there's also a champion of people who, have addiction or mental illnesses and things. And she's always been like, really, I just own it really up front. She's just like, I did this and did that. And Harrison Ford, did this. Who wouldn't? It's Harrison Ford.
Well, I think you look at her as a bit of a guide to what not to do, but also what to do. And it's interesting because there was that, I just mentioned my school reunion, but we drank a lot because we all got very excited, and it was, hey, we're 17, but really we're 37, so surely we can drink the same. And I probably overindulged a little, and the next day in the Facebook group there was the, Kate Johnson, are you still alive? And I was like, are you drunk shaming me? I'm like, I'm going to own this. So it was very much a, hey, nailed it, owned it. And I felt
that was me jamming out to the hits in 98,
Correct.
On that dance floor.
I was like, this is what this is about. I'm back in town. This is amazing. So then it's kind of like owning my Carrie Fisher moment. It's like, I was a bit of a mess, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's right. And it was obviously very sad that she sort of passed earlier than she should have. I think it was actually her birthday yesterday or the day before. Wow. Just put a little time. I think she would have been 62, but she only made it to 60. So
but she
way
lived
too
a
soon.
hard life.
Well, yeah, she lived, she certainly didn't do things by halves.
No, so I think she probably might have overextended to where she...
Yeah, I don't think it was a recent thing. I think it was a culmination of all these things. Yeah. Now, when we sort of talked about this podcast, and I had said, I think you should come on my Star Wars podcast. And you're like, I know a little bit about Star Wars. I don't really have much to say. And I said, well, you've always got plenty to say. But
I've always got plenty to say.
So what I thought I'd do is that I'd give you homework.
You did give me
homework. I gave you homework. It was a little while ago, but you, like every good student, you did it. So I basically just said, all right, well, why don't you come on? And what I'll do is I'll get you a copy of The Force Awakens to watch, because I basically said, what have you seen? What haven't you seen? You said, look, I saw the original ones. Have you seen the prequels? Or did you just kind of started and kind of went, not for me? Hard work. So was that recently or just when they came out?
When they came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they came out.
Didn't really jive.
No, it just felt too foreign for me, that it wasn't the characters I remember.
Yep.
And it was...
It's a different feel.
Yeah.
It's not, and I think we'll get into this when we start talking about Force Awakens, but a lot of that was about capturing a feel.
Yeah.
And I think very purposely trying to capture a feel that they felt was lost.
Yeah.
If you sort of watch the originals and then you watch the prequels, they share a lot of things, but especially from a design point of view and obviously a story point of view, but the aesthetic and the just the acting and it isn't quite the same.
I think now though, when you get to sort of your late 30s and you're getting a little bit nostalgic for your youth or whatever, maybe that's just me, but I think now I'd probably be more inclined to go back and watch them to try and, because now I've opened up this little Star Wars door.
Well, this is the thing, like I was saying, like now you're like, well, I just want to consume a little bit more and see and
just see where it
takes you.
Where it takes me.
And the thing is, like, you might, should you go down that path, you'll be like, oh, that didn't land. Some people love it all.
Yeah.
And there's people who love those prequels more than they love the other ones, especially people who are probably a little bit younger than us.
Yes.
Who are probably, 8, 9, 10, 11 around that time, which was sort of late 90s, early 2000s.
Around the prequel time.
Yeah. And that was like their jam, because
that would have been their first introduction.
Exactly.
To it,
and that was their thing, so... they love it. So everybody finds a different way in, and whether you think they're good or bad or whatever, you kind of go, all right, well that's their thing, But
How did you, because I don't know this question, how did you get into Star Wars?
My cousin Glenn, who is about 2 or 3 years older than me, so he was the big Star Wars kid.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time with our cousins growing up and stuff. So I always sort of say he is the one, and because I've got a lot, like I'm on Dad's side, there's 22, 23 cousins.
Oh, wow.
And then pretty much everybody from Glenn down who's into Star Wars credit him for getting them into Star Wars. So he was like the Star Wars kid. But I mean, when I was 4 or 5 when Return of the Jedi came out, which was 83. And I saw that at the cinema with Mum and Dad. So there was sort of no escaping. I was already in. Like, I don't remember a time when I wasn't into Star Wars and when Star Wars was around. So I grew up. Like, by the time I was born, the first one had already been out. So I definitely had Star Wars toys and stuff, around and things. And I was sort of just into it. And I think Glenn fed that. So anytime we'd see them, he'd talk Star Wars. He had toys and we'd play Star Wars. And it was just like the thing that you were into. So, I had him on a few months ago. And he was actually quite interesting because he didn't like the last Star Wars movie. He loved all the other ones, and he didn't like the last ones. We'll get to that.
Yeah,
when we move on to that. But it was really interesting talking to him about that, and about where he came from and where he ended up and things. And I really, really want to follow up. Hopefully at Christmas, which isn't that far away.
No,
I'm going to basically just take all the gear down to family Christmas and just stick a microphone in front of him. Just like, where are we at now? Where have we landed 6 months from when we spoke last time, or 7 months from last time? And it wasn't like he was bitter. He was just, he was just let down, I think.
Oh,
which
was, that's worse.
It was sad, because it was, because there's other reasons. We'll get to The Last Jedi soon, but there were a lot of reasons why people didn't like that movie, which were inconceivable or a bit shocking, and they weren't the reasons. They were more personal to him. It wasn't like,
well, it's a lifelong investment into Star Wars for him.
Well, that's the thing,
that's like, you've got a lot of feelings riding on that. So
and it's hard because there's so many of them now, and they're on this year a movie churn that it's going to be harder for you to love everything that comes out, because before there was we had the 3, and then there was 16 or 17 years before we had the prequels, and for a lot of people they didn't land, and that hurt too because that was a longer wait. And
I remember there being quite a bit of an uproar, when the prequels came out, because I remember thinking, well, I don't want to watch this. It's not the same. Like, there's some sort of I don't know.
I remember kind of like I enjoy them, but I have to there's bits I like and bits I don't like, and I don't think they're anywhere as good. I don't think they're anywhere as good as the originals. I don't think they're anywhere as good as the new ones either. But I still consider them part. But the hype train for Phantom Menace was just unstoppable, and it was right at that tipping point, right when the internet became more available. We all started getting more of the internet. It was easier to get information and find videos and clips, and I was at uni, what would have been, so that lead up, I just started uni in 97, and that was sort of when it all sort of kicked off. There was like announcements of stuff was happening. So I had access to the internet right at the perfect time where this stuff was dripping in. And like we had, at our university, we were like the only students who had access to the internet all the time.
Wow.
Because we were doing multimedia. So I think there were a couple of computers where people could get on, but we were just like, that's your stuff, you can go on there. So we spent... I feel like we spent 3 years just on the internet, just surfing.
On a tradition of internet wasting began.
Yeah, I got a degree in wasting time on the internet, as well. Yeah. That was part of the multimedia degree. And a lot of that was on those sort of early Star Wars news sites where they were sort of... But I wasn't a spoilers guy. I was trying not to have the movie spoiled, but it was just building the hype. So I had...
When you think that had never happened before, like before sort of around that time... If a movie, you'd go to the cinema, especially like in the country where I grew up, where there was one cinema and like the movies came 7 months after the city.
Oh, yeah.
And the only time you knew what was going to happen in a movie coming up was you'd seen the trailer the last time you'd been to the cinema.
Yeah.
So, or you'd read Smash Hits magazine or something like that. So there was no...
Well, but Australia was already a year behind. So if you're in the country, you're a year behind it, and then you're almost another year behind because you've got to get it to the country.
And there was no way of finding it out because the internet wasn't even, like, I remember finishing school, the internet wasn't even really a thing. Like, it was, you know, year 12 exams were still, and, you know, literary stuff was going to the library and looking up a book and hiring it and using that as your source. Hiring the book, and that was your source.
Oh, for sure. So, you know, when Phantom Menace was coming up, like, I was the hype train. Like, all my mates, you know, differing varies were into Star Wars, or were at least interested enough. And I was like the guy organising the opening night, getting the tickets, you know.
So not much has changed.
No, well, yeah, that's actually funny now because because through this sort of the podcast and other people that I know have met through other podcasts and things, a little crew that, you know, there are people who are better at organising things than me, and especially it's great considering, you know, I've got a small child and stuff. It's harder to take the time to do that. And someone will be like, all right, who's in? We're going to do this on this date, and just go, yes, that's great. And I can just rock up and do stuff, which is awesome. So, but yeah, I did organise like the Phantom Menace, you know, screening, and I remember, I think there would have been about 10 of us, and you know, we got there early-ish, you know, to get really good seats, and that was the thing, and I was, you know, obviously really on edge and stuff, and yeah, I remember distinctly sitting in the cinema and being in about 15 minutes into the film, and then just having a moment going like, what the hell is going on in this movie?
Yeah.
Like, I remember having a real moment of just going, what's going on? Like,
This doesn't make sense.
Oh, not that it doesn't make sense. I'm just like, it just feels really weird. Like, is this what it is? Like, it doesn't feel like I wanted it to feel. And I think by the time I got out, I think I'd convinced myself that I enjoyed it. And I think I saw it. I mean, that was, you know, 99. So I was third year uni. I had just, you know, had nothing but free time.
Yeah.
So I think I saw it a stack of times at the cinema, probably more than 5 or 6 times.
Literally, you know, convincing yourself time and time again.
Yeah,
I love this movie.
And then somebody got a copy of it because somebody's dad had gone to like Asia or Malaysia or Singapore or something, and came back with a really shonky DVD or CD-ROM of it or something like that. And, you know, so I watched. How
good were those days?
Yeah, shocking. You know,
you didn't know how bad it was going to be.
Oh, I can't watch anything less. Yeah, I can't watch anything less than a Blu-ray now, or it annoys me. And now I can just, you know, sit through on a computer screen, you know, like a mile away, and you sit there and you sit through.
You
it.
see people like when you watch those, and you can actually see someone get up in front of them in the cinema and walk through.
Even the first year I went to London, which would have been 2005, there were still like dudes at the train stations, the tube stations, who were selling the.
I remember they were still there in 2006.
Yeah,
I remember.
And they were, because I had lived with a couple of people, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we got this, and this," and it was a complete crapshoot. Or sometimes you would get one that looked exactly perfect, and other times it was just like a camcorder on the floor.
Yeah, and there was always like a pile of dodgy DVDs, and you could get a bag of them at the tube station for really cheap, and we'd have like 50 or 60 of them piled up by the TV.
Yeah,
but you just never knew.
Yeah, one of the guys, he would just buy porn. He just like, I got this, and I got like, you know, girls doing these things. And I was like, all right, well, I guess that's what you're into. Just get the prices right. Yeah, so that was sort of my way in, and then you know, that kind of came and went, and I thought that was it. Like, I saw the Revenge of the Sith in 2005 in London by myself because I'd just gotten there. I'd only been there about a month, and I think I told this story before, but you know, I'd made friends, but I hadn't made friends. They're like, who wants to go to midnight and watch Star Wars?
Yes.
You know, people are like, or I could just go tomorrow or on the weekend. You know, like you know, so I'm
you
not
hadn't connected to your nerd tribe yet.
Yeah, that's right. And then I just remember sort of walking out of that, and I think that's the best one, and going like, I enjoyed that, but being kind of like, well, I guess that's that.
Yeah,
you know, that's the end of it. I didn't think they'll do any more after that, and we're done. And then all of a sudden, you know, George Lucas sells up, Disney take control, and they say, all right, we're gonna make more until the cows come home.
I that concerns me a little bit, because you're seeing that all of these films where, you know, every storyline's just being repeated, or, you know, it's a remake of this, it's a remake of that. But I think what the beauty of Star Wars is it's got, like, you know, we're sitting here, you're super into it, it's a part of my kind of history and I've got a connection to it, but not, you know, it doesn't define you. It doesn't define me. It's not a thing I put on my passport. But there's that kind of romance about these movies. And it worries me that if there's going to be movie after movie after movie, when does it stop? Well, how much do they dilute the power that is the Star Wars franchise?
Well, this is this is basically the conversation right now, because what happened was that they Last Jedi, which was episode 8, came out last Christmas.
Yeah.
And then just middle of the year, this year, May, they dropped a Han Solo movie, like a solo movie about a young Han Solo.
Oh.
And the look on your face is like, I didn't even, what? Where did this come from? And it didn't do very well. It did, for a Star Wars movie, pretty bad.
Well,
and
he wasn't the most likable of people.
well, this is the thing. Well, there's a double-edged thing. People are going, well, do we really need to see more about young Han Solo? We've already got Han Solo, and you've got a new guy playing Han Solo, so that's a sell in itself.
Yeah.
And we just had a Star Wars movie 5 months ago. Like, do we, where's the anticipation? It's all, and they're talking to so many people who are either really into it or passers-by or, dip in, dip out. We're just like, oh, I need to recharge my Star Wars. I need to get excited about stuff.
Yeah.
I need to be without so I can get excited about having it again.
But it's like with anything, though. But I think in this marketplace, everyone's just like, it's like with Netflix, it's, nobody just watches one episode a week now. It's you watch a whole series in a weekend. There's not that... On a Wednesday night, I'll put the telly on at 8:30 and I'll watch that. That kind of way of consumerism's gone.
Yeah, that's right.
And that, I know I'm old school and I still buy CDs at music festivals.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I love them.
Ah.
They sit in my cupboard and, collect dust, but I still do.
Yep.
I bought some in America 3 months ago. It was amazing. But, I've got that nostalgia about.
Yep.
This is what merch should be and this is what your experience should be, and you need to build up to that and not have people leak stuff on the net or in magazines or whatever. Just make it that pure.
Yeah, but it was hard. Like there was the people I knew who you would say, "Are you a Star Wars fan?" They're like, "Yeah, I'm a big Star Wars fan," and they just didn't go. They were just like, "Oh, I'm tired." Kind of passed me down, and it came out the week after Avengers, and I just saw Avengers last week, and now I've got, and I just saw I'll get to it, and. The release schedules are so short now. Like it's on, I've got it on DVD already.
Oh wow!
When
was it released?
Like May.
Okay,
it's like 3 months. People are like, well,
a year.
Yeah, I'll just get it then. I don't have to rush out. So it's that sort of talking about that fatigue and because basically because Disney have Marvel as well, and Marvel put out 2-3 movies a year now.
Yeah, so I can't even keep up.
Well,
with
this is the thing. Well, they're just going, well, maybe we can do that with Star Wars, and we can just keep churning them out, and people will go. But I think Star Wars, I think, is a bit more special, and people, it needs to be, it needs to have its build up, and it needs its hype train and stuff like that, And I think Marvel is the exception to the rule, where they've just managed to kind of get a rolling. It's just becoming a rolling of a success, and because it's sort of a continuing story, and the characters are all linked.
It's like what the old TV series used to be.
Yeah, it's almost just like you're paying to go to a really expensive TV series
and
that
they
you
can
don't...
now afford to, name a stadium. So
yeah, that's right. Well, Marvel Stadium is up and running in Melbourne.
That's so weird. It's
the big Marvel. I know. Marvel nearly went broke. Marvel nearly went out of business 20 years ago.
And now look at them.
They
got a Hemsworth involved. And look at what they've done now.
They got your ticket of approval.
That always gets my ticket of approval. But it's like you're driving, here in Melbourne, and you're driving through and you're seeing Marvel Stadium, and you're like, the signs on the street have changed already, and it's bizarre that there is a stadium named after a TV company or movie company,
comic book company.
Comic books, exactly.
Yeah, it's
See, back
crazy.
in the day when comic books were massive.
Looked down upon. Yeah,
yeah.
But I mean, it was Disney. Marvel, got themselves back on their feet, and they started their movie division. And Disney, the reason Disney own Star Wars and they own Marvel is because, they basically go, we get kids up to a certain age who are into Mickey and Donald and, the cartoons. And then by the time they hit 12, we lose them. And they're not interested.
And then they come back in their mid-20s as overpaid celebrities that like to have their birthday parties at Disneyland.
Well, yeah, that's right. But they go, but they basically they lose that. They lose that
the
teens, and they're going, all right, well, and boys particularly.
Yes.
And they go, what do boys like? They like superheroes. They like Star Wars. Mm-hmm. So let's bring those in, and we can basically, sell them stuff until they die. So anyway,
I think my nephew and all of my relatives are basically keeping them in cash too, just with the costumes and the merch, and it's like
Yeah, I know.
It's just
I mean, you're looking at my wall, there's some stuff over there. Some old stuff, some new stuff. There's
Look, I'm all for merch.
You're a merch.
It's what I do for a living. So the more merch people buy, the longer I stay in business.
Exactly.
But it is like it's become this all-encompassing conglomerate kind of thing. It's like it takes over no matter where you go. You know, you go into Spotlight and you buy your drink bottle and it's all the stuff.
Yeah. They don't
And
miss
that's
a
where all
beat.
the money's coming from now too. It's from the licensing as opposed to making the money from
Well, that's
the
right.
films.
And that's what they're going like, well, maybe the film, doesn't quite hit, but they'll still be able to sell everything else that goes with it. So your homework
Yes,
was to watch The Force Awakens.
it was.
Now, before you were assigned this homework, were you aware that The Force Awakens was even a thing?
I had heard that it had come out.
Right.
Because I'm a bit of a fan of celebrity gossip websites. Daily Mail.
Where I get all my Star Wars news.
It's where I get all my news. But it gives you all the news of, who's coming back and, the Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill kind of.
Yep.
They're all back. And that was a big pointer for me. I'm like, hang on.
Yep.
What's going on here?
So it wasn't enough for you to go, you sort of clicked it and went, oh, that's interesting, but you weren't like, you didn't go to the cinema or...
No, I didn't.
Was there an opportunity where someone said, hey, do you want to go see Star Wars? Or you're just like, oh, it's out.
I go to the cinema weekly. Like, I see a lot of films. Never once in any conversation
Nobody said,
do you want to see Star Wars?
Right.
So I don't even know what year
it was around
did
Christmas.
Force Awakens come out?
What year are we now?
18.
15. Christmas
Okay.
2015.
Yeah. Yeah, there was never a conversation piece about.
Yeah, but there was stuff. But there's that thing again of like
There was
at
stuff.
the time,
Like you knew there was stuff.
Yeah, there was posters and things.
Yeah, and celebrities like, Facebooking and tweeting and, this is we're dressing up and going to this. I vaguely remember like a Dax Shepard, Kristen Bell kind of Instagram post recently on one of
because let me see you get all
The
your
Last
news.
Jedi. This is where I get my news from. Like, there's things some people know and there's some things other people know.
Yeah,
And
that's.
I've got the celebrity gossip down pat. If you need me,
Well, we'll have to start a
trivia.
celebrity gossip, podcast, and you
Done. I nailed it. Got it.
See, I wouldn't know much about that.
No, see, this is where we can just combine our powers.
So you went in blind, basically.
Went in blind.
How'd you go?
Well, it's interesting because the first time I watched A Force Awakens, I was on a plane going to America, and I was scrolling through what am I going to watch? 14 hours ahead. I'm going to kill myself here, and it popped up. I'm like, hang on, I can nail two things.
My
at once
homework.
here. My homework, and a long plane ride where I won't sleep. So I watched it, and normally I would watch a film on the plane, and I really hate them. So it took me a really long time to ever enjoy Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash.
Oh, the Johnny Cash, yeah.
Because I watched it on a plane going to London.
Yeah, it's not the best way to watch a film on a plane.
No, it's not. But surprisingly, loved it.
Engaged from the jump.
Engaged from the it was the same music I remember. The look and the feel was there. There was a few things that kind of tripped me out, like the commander is a Weasley from the Harry Potter films. And,
Yes.
and I couldn't get past
General
the fact, I'm
Hugs,
like,
yep.
that's Bill Weasley. I'm watching Harry
No,
Potter.
I said that to somebody else, and they looked at me like I was great. Like, they were like, "Who are you talking about, Harry Potter?" I was like,
One of the older Weasleys, like
Yeah.
older than the twins. And every time he came on, I couldn't quite take him seriously. So I'm like, you're a Weasley from Harry
You'll
Potter.
be a Weasley
and not
to
even a
me.
main one. So, but I really, and then, obviously there'd be no spoilers here because I'm assuming most people that have.
Oh no, you can spoil the hell out
Oh
of it.
my God. When Han Solo gets killed by his son, what? I literally exclaimed out loud on the plane and people turned around. They're like, what is wrong with her? Like, have we got a terrorist situation here? But I was genuinely just like shaken by that.
Wow.
By that storyline.
People were like, lady, it happened like 3 years ago. What, you didn't see The Force Awakens when it came out? You're like, why didn't anybody tell me? What happened?
I literally did not know. So I have managed to be under a rock long enough to not know that Han Solo is killed by his son, who is now a baddie. Like, what? And they called him Ben. Oh my God. So all of those, and then you see, Princess Leia come back, and it was, and I think they made it feel like the Star Wars I remember.
Yeah, I mean, it was very conscious leading up. it was very like a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that they would show, and there's the whole video that they did where they were just like, we're using the same cameras, we're using real sets, it's not blue screen, it's practical stuff, there's puppets, there's we're doing as much as we can to make you tie you as it's, don't get me wrong, it's computers galore putting stuff together, but it's not like it's seamless for the most part. It
feels like the old ones. It feels like the movies from 30 years ago, and it's got that same, because I was really worried that I'd hate it and I'd come here and talk to you and like hate it and watch your face just
but
drop.
that would be just as interesting, that you know what I mean, like that would be just as interesting, and to say, well, why did you hate it as much of so did you have any expectations about, like, did you have any idea of like how did you kind of assume that it was going to take place, was it 30 years after Return of the Jedi or anything like that?
I did no
So it's basically real time. So it's basically, because it's, everyone's 30 years older, Harrison Ford's. So they're basically just going, after the end of Return of the Jedi, we're just picking up 30 years from there.
I didn't read anything about it. If anything, I was like, oh, God, I'm going to have to watch the Star Wars movie. And, oh, God, that's 2.5 hours of my life. I'm like, almost. It was like, really excited to talk about it, but... Oh, do I have to watch
so that sort of first crawl comes up, and the first thing it says, like, Luke Skywalker has gone missing, and you're like, what?
He's like, bang, I'm in, I'm back. Because I think like they did such a good job at actually bringing you back and going, it's this, because was it the same musical director as well?
Yeah, it's John Williams. Yeah, so same music. So it's all, there's all the familiar themes, but there's new music which feels like it belongs anyway,
yes.
And
the right arcs, like the right music, like the baddie guy music, and then when the resistance come, there's that good music, and you're like, this is what I remember. And and I rewatched it again yesterday, so because I'd watched it a couple of months ago, and so I rewatched it yesterday just to freshen up, make sure I knew what I was talking about. But it still felt like it felt like a Star Wars movie, and it felt the way that I expected it to, without me understanding sort of where the storyline had. And
you didn't sort of, because almost the first half of the movie, certainly the first 40 minutes of the movie, is all pretty much just new characters. Like Han and Chewie don't really show up until sort of halfway through the film, first third of the film. So you've got your Rey and Finn, and, they're the sort of the people who are carrying the story.
Yes.
It's sort of crucial that you have to engage and be interested in those characters from the jump, really. And I think that was the thing that they did really well. That straight away you go like, oh, what's this girl? What's her story? Like, how does she fit in? And
why does she not wear a full sleeve? I mean, even at the end of the movie, and she puts a jacket on, and like the guards up, she still has gaps. It's like
I've got my Rey. There's a couple of Rays on the. Yeah, I can see that. See, there's one that she's on her speeder there. You can just see that. Yeah, she's got her arms.
Yeah, so she's got like gaps at the between.
Not very sun smart. Living in the desert.
It's like, and she's put on a jacket, so clearly she's cold, but she's still got gaps. Like, come on. And these were the random things that my brain was doing. Like, why is she wearing those clothes? And then why did they call their son Ben? What's the these are the sorts of questions I was thinking about.
So did you feel that when you watched it the first time, did you sort of, I mean, she's obviously the Luke Skywalker of the story.
Yeah.
Did you feel that was where they were going pretty much from the jump, or you weren't really sure that, at the end they're on the snow and, the lightsaber kind of flies into her hand and,
That's so cool.
Did you sort of feel like that's where the story was going, or you kind of had like, I'm just going to write it out and see where we end up?
Well, it's like any good movie or any, character-driven movie, there's going to be, if they're spending that much time on somebody and they're, when you look at the Star Wars stuff, she's all in white.
Yep.
She's by herself. She's kind of lost. She doesn't know what she's doing. You figure that there's...
Yeah.
She must be the good guy.
I was always sort of very likely that would be the case. But when they were marketing the film and the posters and everything, they don't put the lightsaber in her hand in any of the trailers, any of the posters, because Finn, has the bit where he picks the lightsaber up first a couple of times, and he actually, has it in the fight in the snow to start with. So
but that's in the fight though. But it speaks to her.
But
there's a lot of Harry Potter like connections. It's like the wand from Harry Potter, the lightsaber speaks to them. Like there's all of these. Yeah. Obviously, Harry Potter stole the themes from Star Wars, but it's this like real. When you look at it, if you're someone that had never watched a Star Wars film. I mean, I remember we lined up for the very first Harry Potter movie because I loved those books. It was, as a grown adult sitting at the front of my house waiting for the book to get delivered on delivery day, like those sorts of moments.
Yeah.
And then there was a Weasley in it, so of course.
Yeah.
But seeing that, you didn't need to see her with the lightsaber in her hand, I think,
Yep.
to understand that, hey, you're one of the good guys, but
Yeah.
you just don't know yet.
How you fit. The point I was making was that basically they were trying to misdirect in the marketing. So on the poster of The Force Awakens, Finn is literally holding the lightsaber and she's got like a stick, because I think they were probably saying, well, we think you probably think this is what, we don't want to, we still want it to be a reveal of how we get there and stuff. But
he's an interesting character, isn't he?
Finn.
Yeah, because he's quite simple, but there's, he speaks to that whole, it doesn't matter, you can train people to do something, but ultimately that who you are is going to come out.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And they kind of they mention that they all kind of train from birth, and then the first time he gets in a real fight, he's just like,
hang on,
I don't want to do this. No one said anything about shooting people or shooting innocent people. I don't want to go down that path. Well, this is the question I want to ask now. Like you've seen The Force Awakens. Rey gets to that island. She goes up the steps. She gets to the top of the steps. There's Luke Skywalker. Have you seen The Last Jedi?
Not yet.
Do you know?
I actually went searching for it last night, and then I went, no, just calm down. Deal with this one first. And
so what do you know about The Last Jedi?
Nothing.
Nothing at all. So you don't know when it takes place. You don't know.
I know nothing.
No, nothing. All right. What do you? I'm not going to tell you anything, and I'm not going to confirm yes or no. I'm not going to tell you whether it takes place a year later or a day later or a month later or whatever. But what do you? If you were continuing the story from where we left off, where would you go?
Well, I would go that she what would make sense is she trains with Luke and she brings him back. She's the Force. Huh, see what I did there? She's actually the person that can bring Luke back and back into the, you didn't actually ruin everything.
Yep.
You can come back and I need you kind of thing.
So you feel like she has to sort of
his heart of
right. So do you think that will be explained, or do you think they'll already be back? Like Star Wars traditionally sort of, you pick up the story later on.
You see, I left A Force Awakens with a lot of questions.
So you feel like you want to know.
I want to know more, but
You want to literally just have her, like the movie just starts and she's still up the hill.
A little bit, but then after watching A Force Awakens, it doesn't happen. They don't give you answers. It's like, well, what I want to know more about what happened to Ben, and I want to know why. Like that whole thing about, so why did Han Solo leave again, and what happened in that 30 years? Like, were there other kids? Like, all of those sorts of things about them as characters, but they don't give that to you in Star Wars. They don't explain who people are, I guess, because there's books and there's all these other things.
Yeah, but they're always, the big stuff will always be in the film. The films are sort of the gospel. And then it kind of trickles. It's a bad analogy, but it's always like the biggest. One of my gripes at the moment with Star Wars is because they have all these like supplement comics and stuff that they have, and they do, and the comics kind of go all over the shop in the story. So they'll go, this is a comic that's set between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. This is a comic that's set after. After Return of the Jedi. This is one that's set before Force Awakens.
Stuff to understand.
Yeah, but the thing is, they go, here's a comic that's set between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, where it's got Luke and Han and Chewie, and they're all young, and it's just happened after the last movie. But they go on these like big wacky, these big adventures, and all this stuff happens. And I'm always a bit like, I always feel like the biggest things that should happen in their lives should be happening in the films.
Yes.
They shouldn't be having an adventure that is comparable to the scale and the excitement of what happens in the films. The best stuff should always be in the films.
Well, that's what they have set this whole thing is set up for the films.
Yeah.
Like, you should be able to watch. This has always been my thing about books or comics or whatever turned into films. Mm-hmm. If you're going to play that angle and you're going to push it to, hey, we're going to make this our franchise, you need to be able to watch the films without having to do supplementary reading.
Yeah.
Or read the books first.
Well, I mean, I guess the crawl, in Star Wars is always the good little cheat, isn't it? Where they can go, Force Awakens, Luke Skywalker's missing.
Yes.
Leia leads a brave resistance. There's these First Order clowns now who are, mucking around. And then, these things, and then you can
It sets the
all
scene
right.
for you.
And straight away, like you said, I haven't watched, I just went in completely cold. And right away you go, all right, well, I know where this person is. I know where this person is. And I can pick up the rest as I go along. You know? I mean, they don't mention Ray at all in the thing, but within the first 5 minutes of introducing, you're like, okay, she's on her own, she's by herself, she's poor, she's got a bit of a crappy life, she wants to get away, and
they've just spent a lot of time on this girl that's got this really shitty life, so clearly something good's gonna happen.
They're not just going to leave her on the thing. And how did you what did you think of her as a female hero? Does that even register with you?
Oh, totally.
Just
that's what I always look for, where that sort of female protagonist is, especially in, big films like this, which is, Princess Leia, was almost kind of dumbed down a little bit, I think, in those first few movies. She was like the sex symbol, and it was, here's a gold bikini.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, the gold bikini was a bit. They've tried to backpedal a little bit on the gold bikini.
Yeah, and now they've turned her into like she's a general now in A Force Awakens.
Oh yeah, she's a general now. But I mean, even the image of her in the gold bikini, because there was always like the toys used to be like, Slave Leia, because she was like the slave girl kind of thing. And I think now they call her the Hutt Slayer because she killed Jabba the Hutt, and they're trying to,
as opposed to being a sex slave.
That's sort of
completely inappropriate for young girls. But interestingly,
I never said sex slave.
But I think maybe I'm on that, because if you Google, because obviously like I had this party and I had to find an outfit. If you Google Star Wars costumes, not the only, but majority of the female Star Wars costumes are like sexy Leia or sexy Darth Vader. It's like Darth Vader was not sexy. So
sexy Darth Vader.
So it's still there.
One thing I will say about The Last Jedi that won't spoil it for you at all is that there are actually quite a few more female protagonists and characters that are in there that are all very interesting, and a couple of actually quite complex characters as well, which I think, all of a sudden I think someone's done a chart of like the times a woman speaks in Star Wars, in this one it's this much, and then this, and then all of a sudden like you get there's more in Force Awakens obviously because you've got a lead, and then I think Last Jedi jumps quite dramatically as well. So they've been quite conscious. Star Wars is now run by a woman, Kathleen Kennedy, who do you know anything about Kathleen Kennedy?
Nothing,
so she was she's the most successful film producer in history.
Wow.
So she produced all the Indiana Jones movies, E.T. She was big Spielberg. Her and Spielberg created all this.
Great.
So she did stacks and stacks and stacks. So I think Back to the Future, I think she did. And like her CV is just nuts.
Yeah.
She's done it all basically.
The blockbusters of all time.
Yeah. So, and then when George Lucas sold Lucasfilm to Disney, he said, that's who I want to run my company now. So she's the head honcho, for better or worse. She thinks she's doing a good job, but unfortunately, some Star Wars fans don't like a lady in charge.
But that's
and air their grievances by blaming it on because it's a lady.
It's like anything. You put you look at things as mundane.
Like Julia Gillard or something.
Oh, that poor lady. But she was a female, so clearly she was terrible at her job, not the fact that she inherited a mess. And it's like you look at things as mundane as like the NRL footy show. The reason that tanked was because a woman took over. Nope, it tanked because it's rubbish. So, I mean, and that's, I think, is a really important thing that's happening in Hollywood, and it's happening in every facet of the world. It's about the female voice and there being more women in power. But in saying that, I don't think that you should just be putting lots and lots of female characters into films or, changing up how that looks just because you're looking for a quota. Yep. If you're looking at, this is a storyline about, that has been whatever for a long time.
Yep.
Does the female voice fit to that film?
Well, there's one character in The Last Jedi, and I won't go into details about it, that got a lot of criticism for the way that they behaved.
Feel free to do some spoilers.
I want you to go in completely blind. But
I'll just drink a lot of wine before so I forget.
But, about the way that they behaved and the way that they treated certain characters and the way that they did what they did, basically, for whatever reasons. And it's pretty obvious if that was a dude doing the exact same things, no one would have cared.
Yeah.
It would have been like, well, they need to listen to that person, or you know what I mean. So
welcome to the life of a woman, my friend.
Oh, wow, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but that's it. Like that's what happens if you're going into these franchises or things that have been primarily a male-dominated space. You've got to be really careful not because you don't have the right to be there, and not because you don't have the right things to say. Because I think we all have the right things to say at the right times, but it's just the feedback you get. It's because of your anatomy, not because of your intelligence.
Some of the friends that I've had on here who are fans, some of the stories that they've told me, the female fans and stuff, it is crazy.
I've heard some of that in like comic book, like friends of mine.
It's awful. It would make your jaw drop. And I was completely blissfully unaware, really, just because I wouldn't. Well, yeah, it's never affected me in the slightest, and until it affects your friends or people you know and stuff, you become more aware of it. So yeah, you're not a Doctor Who girl?
Yes.
Are you?
Yes, there's little bits, but there's a new Doctor Who.
The new Doctor,
female.
yes, Jodie Whittaker, and I've watched the first.
She's great.
She is great.
Yeah.
So we had my friend Catherine on last week, and she was gushing about the new Doctor, and I've seen the first 3, and she's just great.
And I've seen her. We go back to my version, which is the celebrity gossip one, and I actually watched her on the Graham Norton show, and she held her own. I think she was on there with Ryan Gosling and a few others, and she was just nailing it. And I'm like, good on you, because you're taking on it like Doctor Who is. That is some serious committed.
Some 50 years of
50 years of doctors. Like I grew up. We had 2 channels growing up. There was the ABC and the local Channel 8. That's all we had until I moved to the city when I was 17. So, I remember Doctor Who because there was nothing else to watch.
Yep.
So I used to watch it, but it was always these really creepy looking old dudes.
Yeah, yeah.
And now just the evolution of where it's gone. But that's some Whovians, man. That is some serious committed fans.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And, hopefully she sticks around for a few years and they keep churning out some good stuff. But so what we're going to do is we're going to wrap up in a minute because we've been yakking.
Yes.
But we're going to get you back at you. And I'm going to give you some more homework for whenever you're ready, and we're going to get you to watch Last Jedi.
Awesome.
And we'll get your feedback, get your thoughts and things like that, and see what you think and whether you're thumbs up, thumbs down, if it goes the way you think, if it doesn't go the way you think, if you kind of...
I'm just intrigued now.
It got you thinking. And you can go at your own pace and things, but I think the fact that it's fresh and you're thinking about it, will be a good sort of jumping off point, I think. So
I think it's really just to kind of summarize it for me, it's been really nice to go back. It's almost like going back to when things were really simple, because you watch this franchise and for me, not having any real contact with it since, I was like 13 or 14, watching it on Betamax, back in the country.
Wow.
Literally had Betamax. To be able to go back and remember what those themes are, and those themes haven't changed. It's still good versus evil, and it's still that simple kind of time. It's about family. It's about loyalty. It's however you wrap that up, it's a really nice way to watch movies.
Oh, look at that. You can't really top that. That's how... But thanks for coming on. I can't believe this is your first podcast. It blows my hair back. And I knew that I was just like, she'll be fine. She'll have stacks to talk about. Like,
I love a microphone.
And to be honest, I've had to keep sort of going, we can't go too long because people just tune out if for any podcast you go too long. But the trick is you just get the person to come back again next time and people go, oh, get her back on.
Have you done the dishes? That's when I do my podcast listening.
No, well, I at work on a computer, I design all day, so I don't have to type anything. So I just have podcasts in the ears all day. So I consume a lot of podcasts. I've, not only contribute to the plethora of other ones, I do actually listen to quite a few.
Well, then I have some homework for you then too.
Yeah.
So that you can see sort of my podcast listening, you need to listen to The Armchair Expert, the Dax Shepard one, and you need to listen to a most recent WTF with Mark Maron just to get that celebrity kind of interviewee stuff and tell me what you think of those.
Okay, I can do that for sure.
Deal.
All right, so social media stuff. Everybody wants to follow you on social media?
Yes, so Kate L. Johnson is my Instagram handle. I think it's Kate L. Johnson 25 maybe. But
I'll put it in the show notes. I'll find it.
Yeah.
I'll find it.
Yeah, I've got two. I've got like the public one and the private one. So I think it's Kate L. Johnson 25.
Well, just tell me which one is actually the one that you want to go.
That one.
L.
That's the one
Johnson.
I think. That's the Kate L. Johnson 25. Yeah.
Excellent. And are you on Twitter? I think I've seen you tweet.
I'm on Twitter. I don't even remember what my handle is.
I'll find it.
I think it's Kate Johnson 25. That's usually my go-to.
Forever 25 on there.
It's like my very first Hotmail account, like back in the day. You stick to those things.
That's right. That's right. You can follow all our stuff at Star Wars Spelt, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again.
Thanks, Josh.
Bye.